Yes, here we go. The T.N.F. It's been a couple of weeks since we were last with you, so good to be back on. Judge, I hope you're well.
I'm doing very well, mate. I'm really warm sitting here, to be honest with you. So hopefully I don't collapse in a heat of exhaustion and a splendid opinion.
No sign of that. No sign of that happening here, mate, with my broken window. No sign
Oh,
of me
fuck.
dying night.
No, hopefully I get that fixed shortly, mate. That's no good.
Aye, we get fixed tonight, mate. We get fixed tonight. Anyway, hope everyone is doing good. Welcome along to the bus. This is the last show I do until the game itself, till after the game. So last show before the first day of the season at home. Flag Day and all that. Should be an exciting affair. However, I've got a feeling tonight's conversation won't be completely filled with the usual sort of optimism and excitement that Flag Day brings, a recognition of winning the league title last year, a sort of culmination of the events of last season and sort of celebrating that. I think that all goes part and parcel and hand in hand when Celtic don't sleep during the summer. And as the thumbnail says, Celtic season will actually start before the recruitment drive. It's quite bizarre to be saying that, and actually it carries weight, unless you want to count the two goalkeepers. But I mean, when it comes to goalkeepers, you'd like to think they would get a replacement goalkeeper in, for the first choice. That was kind of the minimum sort of requirement there. And we'll get into all of that, of course. But yeah, first we'll do all that good stuff very quickly. Give us a wee like, give us a share, hit the subscribe button, join the 4,769 other subscribers, however fucking many it is. If you want to become a member, like so many you have, there is that option as well. Loads of you are members already. It's $1.99 a month. The content's always free in the bus. It just helps keep the wheels on the road. Like it's Jim C, Alistair Jack, Gary Brown, Smell the Glove. There's loads of you in already. But like I say, we also appreciate it all. 420 somewhere's in there as well. We say hello to you all the same way we always do. But Mark, we will get stuck in because it seems bizarre to be saying on the cusp of a new season, on the cusp of a third guaranteed group stage football of the Champions League season, we go into the opening day of a league championship. And I'll make this point very quick. The 3 points we win on Sunday, or potentially could win on Sunday, are the exact same value as the 3 points we could win in what would be classed as a league decider, say, in April, May. They're all worth the same. So these games shouldn't be ever getting taken lightly or being going, well, the window's open another month. Yeah, but the season starts on a certain day. And it's incredible to think we go into this opening day of the season with the financial gulf we have over our rivals, the incredible financial position, even from a Celtic standpoint alone, we've never, ever known. And we go in with one striker. We go in with the same left back we've tried to upgrade on 4 times now since he's been at the club. Bolingoli, Laxalt, Bernabe. Was there another one? Maybe that was it.
There was a man called Maurice Boyer. I wish they had actually sent that guy in a rocket to Mars. Never mind to Celtic.
I'm sure he was a right back, was he? No. Anyway,
let's not
split
right.
hairs.
You're right, but anyway, he was shite and all.
He was shite and all. Just throw him in the mix anyway.
He was right and all. Anyway.
But yeah, I mean, it's incredible to think that we'll go into that, and even the 2 guys we had on loan. Whilst we think Bernardo might be announced tonight, maybe tomorrow. What his likelihood is of playing on Sunday is very slim, if at all. And that means that we're actually a weaker team than what we were that finished last season. Now, I always talk about what's the prerequisites of the board. It's to support the football operation. But to support the football operation to the best of their abilities, the best of financially that they possibly can. I don't think they do that. I think they support the balance sheets more than they support the football team. And then I think, secondly, one of the prerequisites is to go into every new season stronger than when you left the last one. Now, people could say, well, there's a month left of the window. Let me just tell you something. If we don't pick up 3 points on Sunday, for example, I'm not saying that won't happen. I'm convinced that we will get the result. I've been very impressed with what I've seen with Brendan's work over the summer, what he's got the team playing and what they look like. Well, just say we didn't. Suddenly, having that extra month window is going to fall on deaf ears to most, and they will not be interested in that narrative. Kyogo picks up an injury in the first 10 minutes. Who comes on up front? We don't know. We don't know. There's fundamentals here that I think have to be looked at when you're going into a new day, a new season, a new beginning, and you do it with lesser tools than before. And don't tell me they've not had time. Hugh Keevins was talking on Super Scoreboard. 10 weeks it's been since the cup final. 10 fucking weeks. I didn't realise it was as long as that. But you put that into consideration. Fuck what everyone else is doing. See, when people say, "Well, other clubs have been quiet," that's just the most ridiculous argument ever. Because all we also hear is, "Well, we don't want to end up bust like Rangers," which is the exact definition of comparing to another club. So we can't have it both ways. We need to look at this from a Celtic prism and say we've had more than long enough to get guys in that Rodgers would have identified. I think Adam Ida is certainly one of them. Bernardo, certainly one of them. That would just be to keep the squad at the level it was when the season came to an end last year, let alone strengthening it. In the meantime, we've sold out the season ticket allocation. We've sold, I don't know, even want to speculate how many. Tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of home shirts. It'll certainly be in the tens of thousands out of away kits that Mark spoke tonight. These fans could continuously doing their bit. But going into the new season, Mark, as a season ticket holder, as someone who now owns the training kit, the new away kit, the home kit, you've done your bit. You've invested your money ahead of the new season. You've went all in, as they described it last summer, Mark. Have Celtic?
No, in my pocket. That's all they've did, boys. I think we've known for a long time now this is how Celtic operate. They tend to surprise you now and again and bring in a player early, like they did with Maeda, and I think it was Hatate in late December one year. And then you're flustered. You're kind of thanking your lucky stars that Celtic have actually spent money that you've been putting into the club. I think we're all just apathetic now. I think that the Bernardo deal it sums it up. He's due to get announced any minute now. It could have been last week, let's be honest. It could have been last month even as well. And they were just going to look at it as if, oh, do you know what? So what? This is they've took the excitement off of signing that player. Nothing personal with the player. I think the club's fucking about with the transfer market, fucking about with negotiating wages and transfer fees. I mean, £3.5 million, great, that's good, but boys, if it was £35 million, me and you won't see the benefit of it anyway. So who cares what we pay for players? I mean, anybody that wants to discuss the virtues of spending $3 million or $6 million on a player, they're missing the point. If the manager wants them in, if they're good enough to play for Celtic, they're going to make us better. The price tag shouldn't matter. We're not going to get put onto a death's door by buying new players. We're not in the market for £30 million players. We're in the market for guys at 3, 4, 5 million. Top tier will spend maybe 6 or 7. That's probably Celtic's level just now. It shouldn't be the level. We should be spending 3, 4 million pound on backup players, in my opinion. I don't think it's out with our reach to spend 30, 40 million pound when you got 100 million pounds sitting in the bank. You're still to sell O'Reilly. You're still to sell the Champions League packages, which I've been told, pretty good source, it's going to be 180 quid, £45 a ticket. That comes from somebody at the ticket office. So that's a kick in the pockets for anybody who's just bought their kids home kits, training kits, season tickets, you name it. So you're going to have a lot of money to be forking out. Last season's league was still going on, and they asked us to pay for next season. That was the shortest ever period of time to buy your season ticket, and that was manufactured so that Celtic fans couldn't have a hand to play during the summertime. And because they've got your money, the only hand you've got as a Celtic supporter is your money. And if you withhold back your season tickets, the club can see that they can see a trend where folk are not buying in because they've not bought into us. They've had the cash already, boys. We've paid our part, and they're not interested. And you use words like shocking and surprise, and I think you're using them as just words. You're no shocked and you're no surprised. I think you've been expecting this. 95% of you was expecting this shit, boys. You get that 5% hope that, okay, we'll go to money. If I'm not going to do it now, when but they're turning. We had this conversation last year, and you were 100%. And I'm not talking about their conversation. But what I mean is, they're trying to manipulate people's brains into downsizing their expectations that much that they're now becoming almost grateful when anybody's linked with the club. I'm also a left back. So left back was a priority position in Ange season 2. That's 2 years ago. A goalkeeper was a priority maybe 2 years ago, Boise. We get another crack season out of Joe Hart. Thanks for that, all his hard work. But it took 130 days for us to replace him, and we got Kasper Schmeichel and that boy for Aston Villa. That's fine. I'm happy with that. That'll do me. But with one left back since February when they sent the guy on loan who wasn't good enough. One left back at a club with Celtic'S size. We've got, in my opinion, I've sort of said we've got one centre back. I like Scales. I think he's a good second choice, but that forward department needs wiped out. We've got Cameron Carter-Vickers. I think Scales is a good backup. Your Welsh, Navrocki, Lagerbielka, Kobayashi, they need putting a plane and a one-way ticket somewhere else. I'm really sorry. And then right back, I think Ralston's a good deputy for Johnson. I think we can upgrade Johnson, to be honest with you. But you look at that team, that full starting 11 is going to play on Sunday. Best case scenario, right? We'll have Kasper Schmeichel in goals, right? See that outfield 10? Not one of the players will be signed by Brendan Rodgers. And this is his third window as a Celtic manager. And not one out of 11 will be a Brendan Rodgers signing. Maybe Kuhn if he's fit. We've heard reports that he's not going to be fit. You're going to have the same 11 that Ange Postecoglou finished his season, his time with, but without Moy, without Jota, without your Joe Harts. And the only department we've astonishingly upgraded on probably is the keeper. We've let this club and dictate to the fans when it's all right to be excited about the season starting, because we'll now get folk telling us that the season didn't start on Sunday. The season starts at the end of August when the players come in. You get podcasts. I'm not going to name them, but if you're wise and you listen to them all, 2 weeks ago saying the same stuff I said, and then the other day there puts a big story on their page, and then doubles down on their podcast about how we're all panicking. And you look at the Jota deal and Cameron Carter-Vickers and Giakoumakis deal, that was the last day of the window. Well, see, Giakoumakis, his first game was about December. He never played a game of football all the way through summertime. He came in unfit. Cameron Carter-Vickers was signed at 11.59 because Bournemouth couldn't afford to juggle about their players, and Jota was recommended for the usual source. This isn't a club that does things the right way, boys. I'll get zero faith.
Just to come in on that as well. What people forget about that, if they're using that as a point of reference, Celtic only won 3 of their first 7 games that season.
I know.
So let's actually think.
Look at the Champions League, Look at the Champions League, the first game or second game.
Then it's strange. Michelin knocked us out.
Aye.
And 3 wins from the first 7 in the league. I'm struggling to find how that would be some sort of example to go to as going, hey, we do business late sometimes. That wasn't a successful way to do it. And what you don't want to do is, we did fantastically well that year to turn it around. And I think it was something like 30 wins out of the last 33 or something like that. 31 wins for the last 33, something like that. And that's fair enough. But you can't bank on that sort of run of form every year. You cannot do that. And every game, as I say, has the same value of 3 points. Now, if we want to wait and we want to use examples of when we did so before and it got its quality in, I get that, because the examples are right. It was quality that came in. They were good players. Jota, CCV, Giakoumakis, undeniably, all of them first-team players for me that enhanced the first team and did a lot of good things at Celtic. Cameron Carter-Vickers currently still doing so. But notwithstanding that, the run of form we actually endured at the beginning of the season was also down to the fact we hadn't got these sort of players or players of a similar level in earlier. So it's a crazy example. If there's another podcast using it, I don't know what you're referring to. So peace and love and all that. But
I'm not getting a lot with them, boys. I'll just,
no, I know that.
I can be as frustrated as anybody listening to them, because I'm just
sure.
And I know what you're saying, like, to use it as a reference point is counterproductive, because we've just spoke about, we get knocked out of the Champions League, which surely was a club's goal at the time, because bringing in players too late. And then last season, we lost our first cup game in August. Kilmarnock beat us, I'm pretty sure. And if you beat Kilmarnock on Sunday, it says, you're right. It's the exact same as beating Rangers at Ibrox in next April. All right, two of them are different spectrums in terms of glamour, but it's the season didn't start when Celtic tell us it starts. It starts on Sunday. And
Correct.
I'm not going to go start getting crystal ball stuff right like that, but anybody that's paid attention will tell you that they can't be surprised that Celtic are starting with Scales and Johnstons and Ralstons and Taylors and Mikey Johnson coming on. This is no surprise to anybody. It's a manufactured downsizing in expectations and a manufactured downgrading in standards. And Celtic have been doing it now, I think, since Ange's first season. I think slowly but surely we were getting worse. The Jota and Cameron Carter-Vickers deals on the second window, which was paid for, which was ring-fenced the previous window, was the last time Celtic invested. Buying 9 players last year for £20 million isn't investing in the squad, boys, because we lost something like 12 or 13 players. We had to replace them. We replaced them. We put a horn in the lucky bag and just pulled out shit. And maybe Kuhn and Bernardo and Ida are probably the three kind of, bits of, sweet corn in that shite that we got for last season. But there wasn't much to look at. You look at that back four, and I'd be terrified. I don't mind getting beat the Champions League. You all know my status on that. But see if we could play against English teams. I know we beat Chelsea, and okay, right. But be real here. See if we got against a Chelsea or Aston Villa or a Man City, and you lose 4 or 5-0. Then I do get upset when an English team is going to put four buys of 5 passes. I can handle Real Madrid putting 5 passes, but an English team and the fallout after that, and how we're all a Mickey Mouse club and all the rest of it. Celtic aren't preparing themselves. We're based in Britain, and we're all about telling players that we'll sell you as a player to the English market. We'll showcase your ability to the English market. That's your selling point as a player. But we're tooling our players up to get into the Champions League, and they're looking behind them and they're seeing guys that aren't good enough to wear the jersey. And that's a club that's doing this. It's not the manager. The manager's getting 110% of every player. And I think a lesser manager last season, this is a different podcast, boys.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right, Mark. And a lot of what you're saying there, if not all of it, it concerns me as well. By the way, we've got loads of people in the chat. Remember, do use the hashtag T.N.F, and we'll get your comments up. There was one that was brought up by a new name. I've not seen him in the chat before, but I'm all for it. I'm all for it. So there's no Don Mackay. It's Roy Jacobson comes in. He's picking a couple of comments. So welcome along onto the bus, mate. But I've got to disagree with you, Roy. And that's the beauty of the bus. We'll bring up comments that we disagree with. All right. And we're more than happy to debate. And I think that's fair. And you're entitled to your views, as are we ours. So just to get that out of the way before we have this discussion. But regardless of the money in the bank, if we raise the wage structure and spend millions on players, we become a club operating at a loss. That would be very, very difficult, first and foremost, for Celtic to become a club operating at a loss.
Yes.
To just say willy-nilly the wage structure being raised would then make the club operate at a loss. It all depends about context with that, Roy. What sort of wage structure are you talking about it rising to? We need to have context when we make comments like that.
Context, boys. Can you read
that? Yep.
So we're with £40 million. We would have to overspend by a minimum of 40 million. We'd have to overspend
40.7 million, it says, huh?
Yes. We'd have to overspend by that much to be put any losses.
That's what made in the last summer. So yeah, I mean, I think we need to be smart when we're saying things like that, because raising the wage structure, let's be real here, is essential at all football clubs, almost on a bi-yearly basis, if not a yearly basis. Wage structures do tend to increase, but revenues streams increase. And see, the thing is as well, see if it did go as far, Roy, right, that Celtic weren't making profit and did operate at a loss for a couple of years. Guess what? That's what that cash reserve then facilitates. That's what it allows you to do.
Mm-hmm.
It gives you that flexibility. What would go back to you, Roy, and ask, I mean, is, I'll put it to you, Mark, obviously, because you're on the show. But realistically, my flip question to that is, so if we continuously have to operate every year making a profit, that only means that cash reserve builds. I asked Johnny this last night, I put it to you. What the fuck is the cash reserve sitting there for?
Well, I did read something about the FFP rules, and they do go back 3 years. So, for instance, you can overspend up to €5 million over that 3-year period. So let's just say we over the 3 years made £80 million profit. We could spend £80 million over 3 years and tap it. You know what I mean? Like our incomings. But there's no buffer when it comes to structural. So you can spend £100 million on a training academy, and the FFP rules don't count for you. And you can restructure your stadium. None of the costs factor in FFP. I know we've just spent circa £11 million or £10 million that's been put by for this training ground, but £5 million of that was an investment by a man whose son's now just been hired to work in the training ground as a coach. Believe it or not, you can shock around on that. So are they just wanting us to have a big massive pot of cash so they can stare at it on a Monday morning? I really don't understand it, because the best thing to do is Celtic to start spending it. Because I'll give you an example. Celtic want a player, and I'm involved in football. I know they're cash rich, right? I'm gonna increase the price because I know they're cash rich. It happens in football. You're dealing with a cash rich club, you're going to increase the price. So Celtic, by storing cash, have created a monster, and that monster is teams will give them a Celtic tax. There'll be a Celtic tax on players. He's worth 4 million. We want 4.3. You know what I mean? You know what I'm saying? We know you've got the money. You got £100 million in the bank. You can afford it, and they'll play hardball. And Celtic have created that monster. And I think anybody that wants Celtic to go to the next level, just on his point, I think it's foolish for us to think that Celtic are in any way in any danger of making a financial loss. Obviously, see, no matter what happens this season, let's just say we don't sell one more ticket the rest of this season. We're still maybe going to bank about £100 million. If we just stopped the new, if we just gave up the new and never even played them, or probably bank £100 million, because we're going to sell O'Reilly for 20 million, maybe add-ons. We've made £5 million already on the players that's already been sold, plus another £7 million that's going to come in for Frimpong, maybe, and £2 million for UEFA for the Euros. You're talking maybe we're in profit already before we even start. Plus the Champions League campaign, home away and third kits, and then your season tickets. That's circa £100 million easy and change without even selling one more ticket this season. And we've got 2 cup runs and the possibility of another 2 games in Europe. You know, it beggars belief how anybody thinks Celtic are in a position that they could be financially unstable. Celtic won't spend a pound unless they've got £100 in the bank. We all know that. We're not going to go out and start spending stupid money. And do you know what? See if Celtic come up against a club and they want to riches for an extra £3 or £4 million, but we've got a player who wants to come, but he wants 50 grand a week. See if that upsets Carl McGregor, that he's getting more money because he's a better player, then he should maybe take a step at the club or no. Because
Mark, let's just be fucking real here. This is a made-up narrative, though.
No, I know,
Carl
but
McGregor would not be upset if someone was paying more than him. That's the mad thing that we even have to end. Oh, I know you are, pal. I know exactly what you... It's a made-up theory that's been brought to the table that has no weight.
As if he cares, because you could turn around and say, surely God, the vice captain, he must be the second highest paid. It doesn't always work out that way. I don't think Carl McGregor's, but my point is, that's just what you're getting after the football. Say, oh, you can't pay 50 grand a week because then you need to pay the rest of them 50 grand. No, you don't. Ronaldo doesn't get paid the same amount as a left back or the right back or the keeper. If players are better, you get paid better wages. That is just as simple as that.
I think this is all a fallacy, all that stuff, and I look at these, I hear these arguments, and I think, at what point would a player? I mean, let's look at how. I know we don't know in person, but we get to know guys when you watch their interviews over a decade, near enough of Carl McGregor being a first team regular at Celtic. You know the type of substance and stature this guy's got. You know what his personality is made up of. This isn't not a guy who's going to be at any point, for me anyway, kicking off or remotely showing negativity towards Celtic bringing in a player of a higher calibre to improve the team. Callum McGregor is undeniably someone who wants the best for Celtic.
Yeah.
And if the best for Celtic means it means that Celtic as a team are doing better than that, that's okay for Callum McGregor. And it's just a nonsense argument. I think it needs, see that, just get it kiboshed. I file that under the same place where I fell, well, we don't want to go bust out Rangers.
Yeah.
I mean,
By the
who
way,
the fuck?
Diego Laxalt
Who
was
the
the guy you
fuck?
forgot about. Laxalt.
Laxalt. No, I said Laxalt,
You
Bernabe.
see that? Oh, it's
He
took
is
me
three.
here.
I think it's
Sorry,
three. Aye,
mate.
and the guy with the B, the volleyball and goalie.
That's it. That's it.
But when it comes down to the amount of money being spent, I do feel that Celtic have a massive grey area where they can invest. Now, Celtic 88 comes in. This is an interesting one. He says, "Boy, see, you've run a business before." I have. He says, "Would you run it at a loss just because you had reserve cash?" What you have to do when you run a business, it will relate it to mine just now, and then you can see if there's any similarities with what you think of Celtic. That's up to you. But the question's direct, so I'll answer it. What happens is when you're running a business is, like mine was a pub, for example, fixtures and fittings and things like carpets need relaid, things like that will undeniably mean that over the course of the year, your profits will fall. Now, if you have profits on average of, say, 20 to 40 million like Celtic's, let's say that was my profit at the pub. It was close. I made a wee bit more. Let's just say that meant 1 year to get new carpets, new curtains in. I had to redo the bar. The bar was looking tired, so we got new wood, new oak, new pine in for that. We have to do all these things at the pub at times, invest in the furniture, things that will bring you no reward, by the way, financially. But like signing an experienced player for the here and now that doesn't have a sell-on fee. That's a bit like your carpet, your curtain. Do you know what? You have to do that to keep evolving. If you think standing still will maintain that level of profit, you are completely barking up the wrong tree. Celtic's gift, I suppose, has been they've got away with that for so long. However, I do think the times will change. And I think as Rangers, plummet. I don't think they qualify for the Champions League this year. I don't criticise them for that. I think it's extremely difficult. I've got a feeling if they don't qualify for the Champions League, I think that actually that race, they'll fall away further from it than Celtic actually pulling away from it themselves. If that were to happen, and I am to be right on that sort of loose prediction, Celtic's customer base will start losing interest watching things stay still. So what you have to do with business is consistently invest and reinvest and invest again to keep things even just running the way they are, because they will dip if you don't be active, proactive in making it a better product. Now, to make mine a better product, as I say, it was the things I've just highlighted there. In Celtic's case, to keep the product fresh, to keep the customer base invested, and to make it more competitive in the landscape of pubs, or in Celtic's case, European football. New owners at a new pub that have went heavy investment, my tired old pub that sat and done fuck all, I get left behind. Behind. And there was risk of that at times when some of the heavies came in, big spending pubs. There were chains, and they could come in and do, like burger and meal deals and stuff that were just, that's going to draw the customers in because they're doing the food, things like this with bargain prices. That would inevitably make me have to react to that and do something. So all you always have to do is try and reinvest, like I say. I just feel right now, Celtic's getting left behind in Europe because they are standing still. They stand still at the very, very summit of domestic bliss. And fair fucks to Celtic for that, and all the players involved, all the management teams involved, and giving us 12, 13 league titles. These are blessed years in that instance. But I look at Celtic as a bigger picture. And what's interesting in as well, see running it at loss, in my mind, if you want to talk about running a business, that speculation to accumulate is so important, because see that investment I made in that new bar, that new carpet, a fucker, this place looks great. I'm drawn to it. You get your photos on social media. Oh, wow. Guess what I think? I think my turnover is going to start increasing. Celtic reinvest in their team. They're going to get more points on the board. They're going to have more players interested. Suddenly, Scottish weather doesn't become an argument anymore. That is the biggest load of nonsense I've ever heard. And players of a higher ilk want to join the club because we're competing again in Europe. And guess what? We are suddenly making more in prize money in Europe. We're selling players for more money because our profile's soaring in Europe. And suddenly, that running at a loss becomes redundant again because that reinvestment you've done has actually led to further revenue. So I get your question. I'm glad you asked it. But that would be my sort of takeaway on that point, Matt. I don't know what your thoughts are.
No, yeah, I think there's a huge gulf between spending their money and operating at a loss. As I say, we're making 30, 40 million pound profit each year, 20 million pound. Spend some of it, but each year there's going to be a budget set aside for transfers. But go one above your normal budget because there's a buffer there. No the money in the bank. The buffer is we're going to make profit a huge margin. Instead of making 40 million pound profit, aim to make 20. You know what I mean? Is that not enough for them? You know what I mean? Really, it's probably Celtic are an outlier when it comes to football clubs in the world. I think there's not many clubs I think operate like Celtic in terms of the league they're in and the financial power they've got. Celtic are a Man City in their league. If we want to, we've got the power to outstrip every single club combined, but we just choose not to do it. So I don't think there's a danger to us overspending and us operating at a loss. Boys, see, I'm not asking Celtic to do that. Even me, I'm not asking for new carpets. I'm maybe just wanting a rug. You know what I mean? Just something to maybe.
Totally, mate.
You know what I mean? And I think
because you've just admitted now by saying that you are actually almost part of this downsizing of expectation, aspiration, and hope for the team.
yeah,
That is
definitely.
damning, isn't it? I don't mean that personally at you.
No,
It's just a damning indictment of how they grind down fans' hopes, fans out there. Football is meant to be a release from the real world. That's what I think folk forget. This isn't our business to be worried about. This is meant to be our release from the real world, our dare to dream, other dimension that we go into when you follow Celtic. And it is meant to be somewhere where we don't have these sort of stresses and you go, fucking hell, Celtic just sold a player for 20. I can't wait to see what they do with that £20 million. I can't wait to see what they do with the 70 million that's in the bank right now. I can't wait to see us be aggressive and make a right go of Europe. Instead, we start becoming morphed and more like the guys that are at the top because they condition you. They drive it into you. They drag you down, Mark, to their mindset of, hey, well, we could compete, but what's the point in trying to do that when it's so many golfs away? And do you know what, Mark? We got a couple of loans in at the end. There's your rug. Happy?
That's it.
And you go, do you know what? It's better than fuck all. Thanks. I'm actually now saying thanks. And that's how mad this gets me.
We're begging for it, mate. And last year, this time, we were hoping, right, McTominay, we were hoping for Kelleher. And then we got a £1 million keeper for Aston Villa who was at Ayr United, and we're going, that's pretty good. We'll check that out. You know what I mean? I'm not slating the guy, but I'm just saying it's a dramatic fall for Liverpool number 2 player that's played in Champions League games for Liverpool to the guy for Ayr United and Aston Villa's academy. But that's what they're doing. They're dropping the standards, and they're not telling us to be linked by these players that excite you and then give us shite. I'm pretty sure they tell guys like Steve McGowan and all the rest of it the proper news, but even the guys we're getting linked with, like even the ones with no substance, aren't exciting. I mean, I seen one today, like if O'Reilly goes, we'll be linked with 3 players. One for Philadelphia Union, a guy for Southampton, and a guy for Italy that Inter Milan chatted by recently. I thought straight away, if they 3 real names, we're getting a boy for America for $2 million. That's a fact, and we're going to waste 25 million. We're going to lose 25 million. Gain 25 million for O'Reilly, but
we won't even spend the O'Reilly money. We won't even spend the money we're getting for O'Reilly, let alone all the other revenue streams that we've discussed so far on the channel.
So let's just say Celtic's stance is, and I believe it is. I believe the stance is that we don't need to sell. If we don't get the offer, we're going to keep him for another season. I think Celtic's stance is that, right? They'll not sell him for the sake of it. So if Steve Rodgers has got let's just say he's been told he's getting 18 million, right? Let's just say, right, for talk's sake, because he must have a budget. So if we sell him for £20 million or £25 million, does any of that get added to the player budget, or does it just go to the bank balance?
Do you know something
And
as well,
surely
Matt?
it must.
I think it used to be that a manager got a budget. You used to think about a war chest. The new manager would come and you go, and they've been given a 20 million war chest. And I think O'Neill was kind of given that. I think O'Neill was given sort of 15 million to spend, say, when he came in. And then it was up to him what he did with it, realistically. He was like, right, Thompson, 2.8 million, Sutton, 6 million, Lennon 5.75 million. That was sort of where he spent. The gap was 50 grand. That was kind of where he spent 3.5 million on Valharan. So it was closer to 20. But I think he kind of had to say so in go negotiate the deal, but I'm willing to go up to X amount of my budget to go to get him for as little as you can by all means. But I'm willing to go up to say 5 million for Valharan. Something like that, right? And that would be his budget. I now think it's a player by player basis. I think it's player. I think it's player by player. I don't think they say to Rodgers, you've got 20 million to spend this season. Now, the thing that really, really fucks me off with all this, to be honest with you, is Celtic in pre-season have been fucking shit hot, mate. I know people can look at it as only friendlies. I disagree, because I think if Celtic have been terrible and you combine it with how this window had went, holy shit, this podcast is 10 times more negative than it's been so far.
That's true.
Right?
That is true.
So we need to be fair's fair. And we are against bona fide quality opposition. We're buzzing if we get a Man City loan player from their B team or whatever. So that's who we're up against. Players of a similar standing to us and a few better. Chelsea's team was 7 of their first team regular starting, right? And we made mincemeat out of them. And at times, I even thought we defended well when we didn't have the ball. There was an aggression about us. And it looks like you're looking at all the evidence. Rodgers gets his mojo towards the end of the season, guides us to the double. You look at what he's done with pre-season, the team looked more forward-thinking, more attack-minded, more direct with their passing. It was just crisper, slicker, and a lot of triangle passing that you're seeing going on all up the pitch. If it was Ange, fucking hell, mate, we'd be doing 3-hour shows wanking over it. Do you know what I mean? I can't be bothered with that shite. Brodge Ball is back, and why not? Yeah, Brodge Ball. We'll call it that for a laugh. Brodge Ball is back, and that what he did at the end of last season with the 2 trophies, and what I've seen in terms of improvement of what it looks like Celtic as a team, not necessarily individuals, warrants being rewarded with better players. It warrants being rewarded with better quality to add to this, to add to what I think is a team now growing under Brendan, but that undeniably, when you look at the personnel, can be improved on and supplemented. I don't understand what the hold-up could be with that. If anyone has earned it, it is the manager right now, because the manager has got back fours with Ralston, Scales, and Taylor going up against Man City, Chelsea, and still passing out for the back and looking more than okay, to be perfectly honest with you. I know it was the better players, predominantly with the passing movements, but even with your Taylors and that, they're playing above their level, I think, at times, and that's due to the manager, Mark. It's time he gets players that are already at the level we can get a Taylor and Skills up to when needed, that come in at that level, and then let's see what Rodgers can do with them. He's earned that right, mate.
I totally agree. I mean, I think we should be calling for a player we get them at the start of their career. We just bypass that stage, get them in their second and third season, and then take them to the next level, see what we can do. Because there's players at Celtic. I think Greg Taylor's been rinsed by the club. I think he's been a pretty good professional at Celtic. I think he's performed really well. But we're trying to evolve and we're trying to get to the next stage in Europe. You know what I mean? So he has to be basically, told that he's going to be second choice for anyone. But if we can get a Taylor who's the next level of Taylor, and then rinse him for as much as we can get out of him, sell him on, make a profit, but by all means. But we're not even taking that gamble. You give Brendan Rodgers a good team, it'll turn them really good. You give Rodgers a really good team, it'll turn them great. We saw under Ange that, seeing you got a manager who's got a proper vision of what he wants to see in the park, things will fall into place. But the club's got to back him on that, because the fans are all in. You mentioned being all in, but the fans have been all in on every manager we've ever had. Every manager we've had, the fans have been right behind. It seems to me that it's the club that are not backing the manager. And it sounds a bit of a lazy statement, but when you think about it, Rodgers' vision wasn't to to sign 9 players last season that weren't going to make a squad on a match day. His vision was to take a good Ange team and make them better and mould them into his philosophy. We've managed to downgrade the standards that much that now it's become the norm now to have guys like Mickey Johnson back on the bench. David Turnbull and Haksabanovic, they would have got a lot of game time last season for their antics, and I think Turnbull's attitude was a bit stinky at times and Haksabanovic was really bad at times. And poor Abada, you know what I mean, he had to go because of pressure in his country, but we've no bulk, obviously. We've got, if we start for the subs bench to the starting 11, there's been a neglect big time for the club. I don't think that Nicholson and Mackay and Lawwell sit and purposely try and make us worse week in, week out. But they've definitely got a mindset where they don't want to progress the team. Well, they look at the league table and say Celtic won the league last year, what's your problem? But they'll not see the bigger picture. They'll not see the fact that on a given week we could have lost that league to Rangers at Ibrox. If we didn't score that early goal we made in after 12 seconds, there's a chance of us losing that match and then going 5 points behind them with a game in hand. That's how close it was last season. The Scottish Cup final was another one. The Scottish Cup final, I think, mimicked our season. We just get through it, and the better characters and the better leaders stood up. And that's what happened. That's last season. And so we've got the opportunity now to mould a team under Rodgers. And we've still got a month. We never know what players are going to come in. They might well be the next level. But my brother Ryan brought in the chat earlier on this, need to mention it. He's right. We were told that the Champions League mitigates the club's stance to not to sell players. And if we've not got these players, if we've not got Champions League football, we might need to sell our best players. Now, we've got these for the last 3 seasons. We've got the Champions League football. Instead of building to get a better team, to get their coefficient points, next season we will need to sell Hattati or O'Reilly if they stayed, because we have more points. But we've gambled that much that we've now dropped down the points level that much that next season involves qualifiers. We all know qualifiers are a big gamble that the board don't get into.
Let's go back to business then, Mark. Because if we want to do that, let's tie it in with what you just said there. 3 years guaranteed group stage football. And in those 3 years you've had the access. Let this just be a fucking wake-up call to anyone who thinks the recruitment drive's been good enough. Think on this. 3 years in a row, guaranteed group stage Champions League football. You start with an advantage. You start with an advantage because you're in the Premier Tournament. You're getting more points, coefficient points, for points you gain in that said tournament. Guess what? We've already made a James Hunt here. We're already going to be back out of that guaranteed. That is because of a lack of investment. So you want to talk about business. Business is about taking advantage of opportunities that present themselves to you. And I think it was a hell of a lot of fortune that we got the guaranteed group stage football. Not in terms of winning the league. I think Celtic have won those on merit. But the fact the points in Scotland, the coefficient had risen enough for us to get the 2 places, one through playoffs, one via automatic group stage football. In my opinion, those sort of opportunities have to be capitalised on. Because guess what that means? Further guaranteed group stage qualifications, further 30 millions without selling a player. Do you understand? That is business. That is business in a nutshell. But by not strengthening adequately and treating the world's premier club competition with disdain, which I felt they did last year and the year before when you look at the signings they actually brought in to reinforce a Champions League campaign. Fuck me. It is embarrassing. Embarrassing when you look at those last 2 summers and think, was that really a team that was looking at the Champions League? Is everyone missing the point? The Champions League's are the pot of gold. You have to carry on. You have to carry on developing, enhancing the team to maintain that group stage football, which brings in such a huge amount of revenue. It's amazing that for this club that we keep saying, oh, we don't want to operate at a loss, but they're willing to let Celtic not invest enough in the first team to lose out on 30 million a year, guaranteed money. That's more suicidal sort of business sense than I've ever heard. That's nuts. That's utter nuts. And people, anyone that wants to come in and try and defend that logic now aren't thinking straight. They are not thinking what business is. They are not understanding the fundamentals of how to maintain, let alone grow a business. They are watching it regress in front of their own eyes, whilst on the flip side being told, being cagey retains what we've got and keeps us safe. Actually, it stops the wheels turning. Now, if wheels stop turning, it takes a long while to rev them back up, mate. And it takes, guess what? You having to dig deeper than ever to try and rev them back up. And what I mean is then having to dip in to the transfer market early, ahead of playoffs, ahead of qualifiers, and really invest in the team to ensure you have a better chance of getting through those playoffs, which there's no guarantee of. And of course, Celtic wouldn't take that opportunity. They wouldn't do that. So what they would do then is gamble on qualifying in these qualifiers and playoffs, making it less likely to qualify each year by not investing that sort of money. And you start going back. I mean, Roy comes back and he says, we have made investment, though. It's just that we don't like the investment that the club's made. It's hard to say we've been 40.7 million profit to June 2023, mate. That's not real investment. Investment isn't that.
Every window a profit. Every window before we spend money, we're making a profit. So we're not even spending the money with ring fence for players. I mean, surely we go in each window. Okay, it may not be an exact figure, but you're going to expect to spend. So if you're going out and make a profit every time, then you're no spending. See the company. See last year we sold one player for 25 million, Jota. We bought 9 for 20 million. That's no investing. I mean that. Okay, if it's done cleverly.
Basically, we got the Jota fee. We basically spent the profit on Jota. We paid 6 million for him, and they spent 19-20 on the replacement. So it's a complete break-even transfer. So even the money we first spent on bringing Jota in, Mark, is what we didn't spend last summer. We spent the profit. I mean, it's incredible when you look at it. And anyone who can't see the ripple effects actually turn into, it's not just a sporting thing. If you want to go down the business, for me, it is a sporting thing because I just love watching Celtic and I love seeing the best version of Celtic and them competing at the highest level and actually competing being the key word. But if you want to look at it from a business point of view, which everyone seems to want to do, sound. It makes no business sense either not to be investing when you're at Europe's top table and you have this golden opportunity to gain coefficient points. I know the games are harder, but the reward is far greater in terms of points. Okay, you might not qualify, but you pick up 7-8 points instead of 2 points, 4 points. 7-8 points last 2 years. And fuck me, that coefficient looks completely different. And this season, we're going to win a league for guaranteed group stage football again. Do folk not understand that? It's so frustrating to try and get this point across that by being so negative, it has negative impacts and ripple effects actually in a business sense as well. You're then going to have to eat into your cash reserves because you're 30 million deficit for the Champions League. Why are we not willing to eat into the cash reserves when we're getting the 30 million Champions League money and properly keep that being a sustainable, regular source of income summer on summer? I don't get it.
Well, they are because, I mean, the Champions League money is guaranteed if you're there. And so is I think you get something like €2 million for a win. So there's even when you're there, there's a incentive to try and push the boat out and buy that extra 5% better player. Gets you a win at Lazio last season. Lazio and Madrid at home. I think we could have got 4 points out of the games. I really do. I thought Lazio we should have beat. They ended up beating us. And Atletico Madrid, I think we could have beat them too. But 4 points is quite conservative. We get 1 out of 80 matches. You know what I mean? That extra 4 points, that gets you through to the next stage last year. And also gives you an extra £5-6 million in turnover. So it's paying for itself. It's daft economics. I don't understand. I mean, I understand folk don't want to go bust, right? But seeing I read things like that, boys, why is it going to be one or the other? How can you just spend within your means? We're not asking for Celtic to spend recklessly. If you've got a pot of cash, spend some of it. Just spend fucking some of it. You know what I mean? Don't pretend you're skint when we can see in your figures. This is in 1997 when only the toffs know the Celtic's share price and how much money they've got. That's just available to anybody now, 7 days a week. We all know the club is cash rich, and they're taking us for a fucking ride. And for folk to be scared of going bust, I actually think the worst thing that's happened to Celtic as a club with Rangers gone bust, because now we've got a fan base that's now supporting some supporting the club's stance to not go that level further, because, oh God, look at the guys that look at happening in Govan. You go, no, they were reckless. Don't be reckless. And just push the ball out as much as you can, but be prudent. If Rodgers wants a £10 million player, you'd rather spend 7. Do you know what? Spend the fucking 10, because see they gets you win the Champions League. That's £3 million, £2 million back after money is spent already. Then you get the money. Then you've got every other goal and that's why I think for sure players don't need to pay us back in money. Pay us back in goals and performances, because at the end of the day, we're a football team. If we spend £5 million on a player, best case scenario, they don't leave you. They play well, score you hundreds of goals, and that's mainly your best case scenario, right? The club's probably a bit different. They want to make a profit, but best case scenario, we buy a player, but not buying it to make profit. That isn't why Rodgers buys a player. He buys a player because he wants to strike it to score goals, the keeper to save shots. What the resale value shouldn't be the first thing we think about. If we sign Ida tomorrow,
Yes.
I guarantee you within 10 minutes, somebody will put on Twitter and 100 folk liking it. Oh,
Mark
he's
my
20 million
words.
next year.
Mark my words. Ida will go for 15 million, 20 million.
That's it. And this is the shit you're reading. I mean,
That's when the conditioning's in full flow.
It's a toxic cesspit.
I don't know any other fan
Twitter
base that does that.
None. See, look at.
That's what I don't get. Is it a new wave? Is it us being old, maybe? Because,
No.
hear me out, there is a generation of younger folk that are football manager daft and things like this, and they probably do get a kick out of buying a bargain by selling them on for 30 million quid and stuff. And I do wonder if there's a bit of that is just how the younger generation look at football, maybe. And they do look at it. But I've got to say, I find it really unusual and unique. I can't think, anyway, of seeing it as much, albeit my Twitter is dominated by Celtic fans, so, I don't have a large spectrum to go by. But I mean, do other clubs fans instantly when they get players say mark my words? I think a Rangers fan did it the other day about Diamande. He said he'll be the first 30 million player. I thought, fucking hell, they're desperate to get into our model. Honestly, welcome to hell.
They are. Yeah. He played last year for them.
Yeah, he was the one who did the big sort of kick out at Maeda at the end of the Scottish Cup final.
Oh, aye.
Remember then Lundstrom came in and sort of cleared him out.
He was great, he was
like
fucking
funny.
Great,
Let's talk quickly about the game, Mark, because it is important. You'll be going along. You'll be at your vantage point, mate. I missed that part. How much you look forward to seeing the hoops again? Because see, regardless, as I say, about all this board stuff, which I think they need to have their finger thumbs at them. I expect a bit of booing. See if Fergus McCann can get booed on Flag Day, then I think the current Celtic board deserve a wee booing on Flag Day this time around. But anyway, that aside, football-wise, I want the team to get the full back in. I want Brendan to get the full back in. I'm excited to see what he does with this Celtic team, regardless of the personnel, because I do feel he's got his mojo flowing. I think he's got the team buying into what he's selling. I think, as I say, it wasn't even a full-strength Celtic side either, which people forget. That we watched in pre-season. The whole nature, the whole mood of the team, the whole way they were playing. I watched both games in their entirety, Mark. I did watch the DC United one, but I watched both City and Chelsea. The City one, I don't know why. I'd worked the next day. I was like, the next day, what the fuck did I do that for? I enjoyed the game, but fuck me, I was up to about 3:30. But it was fantastic to see the evolution in the team. I'm excited to watch how Celtic play on Sunday. If we play, and I see no reason why not, I think this is what we're looking for. You can see things getting tested out in the summer that you want to implement in competitive matches. I think we could be in for a fantastic game of football from a Celtic perspective on Sunday. I'm really hopeful for a win by a large goal margin. And I think for a lot of optimism to come out the stands. I know we can caveat it all with, well, that'll turn into then everything's fine. Who needs extra players? If anyone thinks like that, then they're not looking at the whole bigger picture as one. Yeah. But I want to just focus on the football now. From a football standpoint, you must be looking forward to seeing now season 2 Rodgers here now that I think the honeymoon period's over for him. I thought it was an awkward honeymoon. I thought there was a lot of, halfway house stuff from him. I think he'll be far more. I think the snippets we got last year with the media, I think will be the norm. I think he will be direct in his criticism of players when he needs to. I think he's now finally realised he's grabbed both reins again, Mark. He's grabbed both reins. He kind of had one and a half hands. Not that you can have a half hand, but 1.5 hands on the reins last year. And he eventually kind of looked like he had both hands on the reins towards the end when we went into full throttle mode towards the end of the season. I'm looking forward to seeing a whole season of Celtic now, playing a better style of football, easier on the eye, and winning competitive matches. I take it you're buzzing to get back on Sunday.
Oh, definitely. I miss the place. I've only been up once or twice to go to shop, so I've still got to get to see the place, but I'm missing quite much Celtic. But the thing I noticed about the games is how we're beating the press. That quite impressed me. Is you can tell he's done a lot of work during the summertime with Celtic and the press and a lot of tactical stuff. So this will probably be his first proper pre-season, because last year he still tried to mould the team. He still tried to get in, you know what I mean, with a lot of background noise. So I think this season will probably be, you might see a newer version of Celtic under him than the one we seen last year. But I'm looking forward to it, mate. Definitely. I think good opponent. Kilmarnock don't do the usual sit back, 10 men behind the ball. McInnes isn't an exciting manager, but he does speculate to accumulate. He will push Kilmarnock forward a wee bit.
Not that term again.
No, that term. No, we'll leave that one. We've done the board hitting just for the night. We'll return, don't worry. But no, I'm looking forward to it. I mean, I think the team selection is going to be a bit interesting, because I'm hoping that Kuhn and Maeda are going to make it, because I don't think my heart can really watch Palmer and Mickey Johnston or whatever from whatever fucking or Forest again. I just not ready for that. So I want to see Kuhn look good for what I seen. I think it was the Man City game.
Yeah, it was. It was excellent.
Snippets. I think Maeda got a wee knock against Chelsea, what I seen, and also hopefully you two make it. I've not seen anything to suggest they are going to make it. I did read that. I don't think Kuhn's going to be fit, but maybe a lot of shite. But anyway, I'm looking forward to Celtic this season in general, but I can't wait to get back to my seat. I tell you what, I'll be there, and the guys when about me will be there, but I'm not convinced that even Bernardo will be there to what the White squad tonight.
Yeah, no, nothing would surprise you with that. John Mulaney comes in, he said, my missus is asking me, boys, if you were at the fans forum yesterday. The bus does not have access. We requested access a couple of years ago, not because I want involved in any of that shit, because it just doesn't work for me as a person. It's just not my thing. I don't have anything in common with that sort of thing. Not because of the people. I don't know the people individually. But going to these things and minding your P's and Q's, that, I mean, I'm if I'm in a room with a comfy seat at Celtic Park, it's because I've got hospitality and I'm having champagne, mate. Do you know what I mean? Like, I'm not there with a wee notepad asking questions. Just not my gig. But we did apply for the accreditation, as it's called, press accreditation. Yeah, we applied for that because Regan was doing his journalism degree. And I thought it would have been amazing for him. He's not far away from Celtic Park, could get there on his own. Weekdays would be amazing for his uni degree, obviously, to work alongside it, getting experience of that, unbelievable, getting his name out there. They weren't interested. So we know that's been, probably due to the sort of content we have in the show in terms of telling it like it is, and that's fine. So no, I certainly wasn't. You could tell your wife I was not there. But the most important question I've got is from Ryan Cairney. I need to ask you, Mark, why a chef of your standard has an air fryer? Ryan, your brother.
That's brilliant.
Ryan, your brother, feels he's been sold a lie his whole life.
I was sold an air fryer my whole life. I mean, that's the most amazing thing. You come in and there's not much you can do inside it. I made the way dinner. I made a homemade pakora, but I put it in the oven to heat up. So I made her that.
Homemade?
Of course. The cracking things, mate. The cracking things.
You make homemade pakora?
I make homemade everything.
Do you?
Of course I do.
Homemade pakora? That sounds good. No, that sounds good.
It's so easy, mate. So easy.
Is it?
I can tell you how to do it. No bother.
Oh, mate, I love it.
What's your favourite one, veg or chicken?
I think veg for me, because I just think with chicken pakora sometimes
that's an easy one, but it's messy.
I would imagine it would be messy. And do you go for like the big boulders or like the wee?
No, so I make them kind of like
the wee nuggets.
No, I make them so that See, a proper one will look like a misshapen fritter. That's what it's supposed to look.
Mark, I
Supposed
need to
be a bit-
go. That's my
Right,
window going
okay.
to get fixed. They're at the door.
Right,
I
okay,
need to go.
listen,
Sorry.
guys. Thanks,
See you
Ryan.
later.
I'll text you about that.
Cheers.